Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Welcome to yet another Product People event. Today, we'll be talking about building a mentoring platform and PM career growth with the Mentoring Club. Tonight, we have the co-founders of the Mentoring Club with us. So I'm very excited about today's sessions to learn how they build the platform. But before we go into the session, just let me introduce myself. My name is Adela. I will be your host today. I am Product Manager 1 at Product People. I have joined Product People in December last year. But I have very diverse background. I'm originally a sinologist and I have MA in culture and creative industries, but I have started my product management journey as a co-founder of a startup in India, which is a social enterprise. So I've been doing that for more than 3 years. And I have also more than 9 years experience of working with multinational teams. So for those of you who are joining Product People even for the first time, here is a short introduction of who are Product People and what we do. So our mission is to help companies discover and deliver great products faster. And we do it in 2 ways. We empower our product management community, and we have more than 10,000 members as of now. So thanks a lot for joining also today. And we love to share knowledge generously, and I think the testimony to it is also tonight's event. And at the same time, we are managing all the hands-on unglamorous work of a PM on interim basis. That means we do an interim product management for 3 or more months in different companies. And our specialty is that we onboard fast, align teams, and deliver outcomes. To also know something about our audience. So this was about us, Product People, and we would like to know also you. We have prepared a very simple poll, which is also connected to today's topic. And now for those who are Zoom call, you can see the poll in our Zoom chat. So please feel free to fill it in. And for those who are joining us at different platforms on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, please feel free to post your answers in the comments. We'll be also looking at those and make a final decision about the poll results. So I will be just reading the 2 questions that we would like to ask you. The first one is, have you ever had a PM or career mentor? Simple question, yes or no. And the second one is, how do you work on your career growth? So is it through continuous education, either master's, PhD, or any professional certificates? Or is it through mentoring? Do you rely just on your job experience? Or are you keeping up with new technologies and business trends online? Or do you do all of the above? I will also make my choice with the answers. So we can wait for a couple of minutes. So you have time to answer. I think it will be really interesting to see, especially the first question for our guests tonight, our speakers, to see how many of you already have a mentor in the past, and maybe you will get inspired to get one after the session tonight. So, all right, so we have the results coming up. So the results for the first question, 67% already had a mentor, but there are still 33%, 1/3 of our joiners tonight didn't have a mentor. And at the same time, the question number 2, none of you actually have relying only on mentoring, but most of you have tried to different career growth strategies. So 58% replied that all of the above. So you have tried all of the above. I will just ask Mansur whether there are any other replies on YouTube and LinkedIn.
Yes, thanks, Adela. So from my side, I also see that for question number 1, it's mostly a no. So not many people have or have had mentors yet. Hopefully this will change it tonight. But then for the second question, I see the majority is also going towards option E. So all of the above, and mixing all of the mentioned answers to grow their careers. So continuous education, mentoring, job experience, and keeping up with the new technologies and trends combined. That's it from my side. Thanks, and back to you.
Thanks, Mansoor. Great. So that was the short introduction. And now, without further ado, I would like to invite our two speakers tonight, the co-founders of the Mentoring Club, Jessica Dewald and Bastian Buch, to share their session. So I will stop sharing and give them a place to share their screen. So the stage is yours.
So I think it works, right? So at least my machine tells me that all of you now see our screen. I see your thumbs going up. Great. So thanks for having us. We'd start with a quick introduction about ourselves before we go into what this mysterious mentoring club actually is, and also how you can use it to grow your PM career. Jess, do you like to start?
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Here on this call, but then also further out in all the different social channels. We are very amazed to be with you today and invited to share our story about the Mentoring Club. So thank you very much, Product People team, for having us. We really look forward to this talk. And yeah, what can I tell you about me to start with? I'm a product enthusiast. I've always worked in product. I would say that it's about like 14 years now. I have started as a working student and by accident landed in the product function back then. So it wasn't as popular 14 years ago as it is now. And then slowly but steadily, I have moved from one company to the next. I started at Adidas and I'm now with Zalando, which basically closes a little circle of e-commerce for me. And by now I am the product director for Zalando's beauty business. And as you know, I'm also one of the co-founders of the Mentoring Club, who we will give you all the background on the funding story in just a second.
Great. So where do I start? I actually started maybe when I was a teenager, being very engaged with coding, finding out that actually, even if you live in a small village somewhere in East Germany, you can create great stuff when you can write code, right? So this is how all of this started. And then I moved to Berlin to study, but before my study, I had some months to actually work, and I tried something very crazy. I applied for a job and became a PHP and Java developer, which I was not able to write at this time, but this gave me the opportunity to build a project myself. And this was also a beginning of something which is different to just coding. It's like actually creating something, including design, including product management, including almost like everything, and really being amazed by what you can do. And yeah, then I studied and had a couple of jobs. And also part of the story of the Mentoring Club is that by accident, somehow Jess and I also were working since 2012 at the same companies. So I joined Immobilien Scout in 2012. I think you were working there already. After that, in 2016, I moved to Omio, which is a travel company. Just followed, and then I was at Delivery Hero. Now at Zalando as well, same like just so, which is quite funny because it's almost like by accident. But now we want to go into why we started and how we started the Mentoring Club. And this is part of this kind of career path that we somehow share. When we worked at Omio, the coronavirus came, right? And there was this lockdown, and all of our teams, we both led a team, just as a product director, I as an engineering director, and all of our teams went into this Kurzarbeit, so they actually weren't working at all. And that's where the idea actually started, but I will come to that later. first, I'd like to give you a brief summary of what the Mentoring Club is today. So we started in 2022, last year in March. So almost exactly 1 year ago, we founded a nonprofit organization out of it. This is an online platform where you can volunteer your time as a mentor for others to learn. It's built as a side project, so nobody who's working on that, including the two of us, are working on that full time. We just spent a couple of hours on that. And you can find free mentoring sessions, there are blog articles. We have a Slack community of mentors with more than 1,000 members. We have a podcast, online events like this one, and of course also a newsletter. And the Mentoring Club, since it is a nonprofit organization, is supported and financed by more than 150 donors and some corporate sponsors like LinkedIn, Penta, and also, and again, thanks to you from Product People, by Product People. So again, our founding story, how does it start? So as said, there was a lockdown, surprised us all. And the two of us, Jess and I, were having the last call with our teams, big all-hands meeting where we said goodbye to everyone, not knowing when they will come back and if we come back, or if you not just need to change jobs. And I think a day later, the two of us sit together because we liked also working with each other and wanted to not just be at home waiting for the virus to disappear. And we said, okay, we can actually ask our communities in LinkedIn if they want to use some of our time for their growth. So we could just share our knowledge, our experience. Let's see what happens. And we shared a very beautiful, but maybe simple banner with the community. I actually didn't find a high quality one, so it's even pixeled here, right? Where we said mentoring session with Jess and Bastian. So that's how it started. That's what we did. And we had a Google form and we collected data. And then after a few days, we saw, wow, there's more than 30 requests coming in, which means that there will be a lot of work for the two of us. But at the same time, there were also a lot of people from our networks who said, wow, this is a nice idea. Good idea at the right time, so to say, and we want to join you. And suddenly we were not like 2, but 20 people offering our times as mentors. And what we did during that time is actually having 2 Google forms, one with the mentors, one with the mentees. And we looked at this and saw like, okay, how can we actually find the best mentor for the mentees that we have? And it was a lot of manual work, as you can imagine, right? Because also we need to schedule time and so on. And this grew quite fast. And I think it was about 100 mentors that we had when we decided to launch this beautiful thing, which is Google site. So there was no programming. It's just like clicking some website together, creating these mentoring profiles, writing some text, and publishing it on the same domain that we have today, mentoring-club.com. And this grew to a few hundred mentors, but all of that was, again, a lot of manual work, right? So we had to create these profiles. We had to copy all these pictures to different pages because there was no database, nothing behind. And then when I decided to leave the company during Corona, because it looked like that travel tech won't come back that easily, I had 2 months of free time. And then the two of us sit together in a brainstorm in a nice little cafe in Berlin, talking about which kind of features do we like to have. And then I started programming, which I didn't really do professionally since I'm a engineering manager and not like a hands-on programmer since, I don't know, 2011 or so. But it worked out. And over the time, we grew it into what we have today with a proper search, with mentoring categories, with book recommendations, reviews, the podcast page, and everything, right? So this works quite well. And yeah, today, to now give you some numbers, we have people from more than 47 different nationalities on our page. Essentially, all continents are there. When we had our first all-hands meetings in the very beginning with the first 20 mentors, been mostly in Germany, somewhere in the US actually, but today it won't work because we have all time zones on the platform, and also we speak at least 29 languages, right? So people can choose the language, and you find like languages from, of course, the common ones, but also different Chinese or Indian languages and so on. So it's quite nice. And overall, we have now numbers actually from January. Now it's almost 1,100 mentors on the platform. Last year, or those mentors donated about 3,500 hours of mentoring via the platform. Just imagine, right? One mentoring hour in average in Germany costs about 130 to 150 euros. Now take this times this number, you will get a very huge number of donations that is just produced by talking and by exchanging experiences. We have also a way to be a certified mentor. 200 of those are today certified. And on LinkedIn, we have almost 9,000 followers, which is still our key social community. Overall, last year we had 95,000 visitors. All of them spent about 3 minutes on the page, and Net Promoter Score is probably my favorite number because I've never seen a product with such a high score. It's 86%. We asked people in a scale from 1 to 10 about if they would recommend our service to others, and the average number is 9.6, 9.7. So overall, the Net Promoter Score is 86. It's an amazing number. It makes me very, very proud, and really shows that there's some value that we and our mentors created. Overall, we have a lot of different domains that our mentors cover. Product management, of course, one of the biggest with 217 mentors, but there's also stuff like sustainability and transformation, project management, and so on. So you can really find everything that you need for growing your career. So now the question is, and I keep it very brief, how did we do that? I could actually write something like agile about, right? I believe in agile methodologies and value creation, in having a passionate team, being numbers driven, and so on. All of this is true here. And if you see, or if I look back, I think if we look back, because we created this together, right? It's, the first was passion, dedication, curiosity, and commitment. Right, as we saw that there's value creation, that is something that we build that actually helps others. This was really going really deep into our heart. Right, it's more than just earning money somewhere. It's really something that that counts, something that has a purpose. And we decided from the beginning that we want to spend some time on it, even if it's not full time, but at least 4 hours per week. Is what we committed to the project and to the growth of that the platform. Of course, trust, fun, partnership, independence is absolutely needed. We don't work on that day to day. We don't see each other like every hour or so, but just at least once a week. But still, it's very rare, let's say. So you need to really trust each other to take the right decisions. We are both directors, let's say, or executive, I don't know how we can call this, of this company, and we both can drive our decisions without asking the other. So it needs a lot of trust and a good partnership, and also independence from other companies. So if we now have someone to tell us, right, what we need to do, what's next, and of course this model wouldn't work. So it's about a small team that is dedicated, that trusts each other. And then of course, true agility. We only executed what will bring us to the next step. Right, we always saw like, okay, there are a couple of things that we can do now, be it a newsletter or the next feature to launch, or the next event to join, whatever, right? We always thought, okay, we only can do what we can do with this small amount of time, and executed only that. So there were no big plans in place, never. The next aspect is quite important, right? Over the years, we gained a lot of knowledge and experience, and we just applied this, right? So be it how does online marketing, content marketing work? How do we actually scale a product? How do you track data in using Google Analytics or something different? How do you take care of privacy and all of these things, right? There's a lot of stuff that actually teams are doing, entire teams are doing in big companies. We had to somehow apply it ourselves, and it was good that we worked in so many different companies and different jobs before. Then, of course, strong belief in our mission. I mentioned this before. And here, this is important, and also call for the people that join us today. We always said we can do it somehow, right? Probably it's not perfect. We are not designers, but we still have design page, let's say, right? We have PowerPoint slide decks and so on, but we never waited for someone. Same with writing. We are not editors, but we try to write things ourselves. We are maybe not senior software engineers that program every day, but we still tried it. So it's really not being blocked by any, let's say, doubt or belief that others can do it better. And then, of course, it's a lot about learning itself. So this is our story so far. Very briefly, if you have questions, I don't know, Mazur, how we collect these, we can both answer, and then we can go to the next section.
Yeah, we can start taking questions if you want to send them through the chat or comments, whatever platform you're on, or you can ask them verbally on Zoom if you want, but I'd rather keep them till the end. So we'll also have both questions about this segment and the part that Jess is going to talk about.
Yeah, then Let's do it to the end. Perfect. Yeah. All right, then I hand over to Jess, and I click and you give me a sign when I should press the button. Okay.
Thank you. I just wanted to say, please remain the MC of our session. So let's move to the next chapter. I think we've just received the briefing that you want us to talk about career growth and product management. Give me a second. My son is screaming. All right, here you go. This is part of the reason why we can't do the mentoring club full time, right? Because there's other stuff that we need to do outside of work as well. So I think I can just add this one sentence of, also juggling work and family and a nonprofit business, which all, forms itself in conjunction. And it's a balance act between, prioritizing the one over the other at some point, but then also switching back. So let's see how we get through this today with my son, watching Pink Panther. All right, so let's go back. Career growth and product management. This is what we want to talk about. So the question is, how can one actually succeed in product? And that is a very general question, of course, but this is, I think, the essence of what you need to have an answer for if you want to build your own product career. And to be honest, the question remains no matter where you are, if you are a junior or, somewhere else in your career. But in my opinion, there's a very straightforward answer to this question. So Bastian, if you could click. Ultimately, it is all about launching something great. Because if you launch something great and create value for customers, everything else will follow. And this doesn't only mean that business success will follow, you earn more money, you have better conversion rates, you have more subscriptions or whatever it might be in your particular case. It also means that you learn how to get things right. And the more right you are in your career, the better or the more likely it is that you will also grow as a product person. And then over time, it will happen that people will see it and you also get promoted and you build your career as a product manager from, starting somewhere to getting somewhere else with a track record of products that have created customer value. And this is what it's all about. I think this is in essence the answer to the question of how to be successful in product. Of course, there's more to it. So if we can go to the next slide. If you don't manage to keep the customer in mind, you just might be a product manager who launches lots of cool stuff, but then nobody's using it, which means that the outcome that you wanted to create in the first place doesn't materialize, which means you might have all the methods and all the skill sets that you need to be a good product manager. You might be able to use Jira perfectly, you write the best user stories, or you create wonderful design sprints and all of that. But if you forget who your customer is, and this can be an actual end user, but it can just as well be an internal customer, then you build something that is not in line with what your audience needs. So my recommendation is, in order for everyone to be successful in product management, you need to focus on what your customer needs. What this means in detail, we'll get to in a second. But first, let's make sure that this happens always. Never forget the customer. Now, how can we do this? I will give you a very quick run through of what I think ensures that you focus on the customer at all times. You can do 3 things. The first one is you always need to understand whether a problem that you have figured out you want to work on is actually worth solving. This means that first of all, you want to fully understand the problem so that you can also calculate and estimate the impact it will have on your audience, and it will help you size your audience. Because even if you create an impact, let's say you create the conversion rate by 10 percentage points, still, if this is only true for 5% of your audience, you're not developing for the majority, which means even though you might call the feature successful for a niche audience, overall, your company can't win. So whenever you talk about customer problems that you want to solve or bigger opportunity areas that you want to tackle, make sure that you know your audience and that you fully understand the problem. You also want to understand, of course, how competition does it, or what happens if you don't do it now, but if you do it in a year only. Does this change anything? So what is the benefit of solving this problem? And what is the problem? And then as a second step, you want to understand which solution is best suited to solve this problem. Because once you fully understand, you might find different ways of how you can actually tackle this problem, but you never know at the very beginning which solution is the best one. So you want to drive different solutions. I'm very sorry, guys. Thank God my co-founder and I are very close, and he is also leading product. So if it gets really bad, I'll just hand over to Bastian, and he needs to do PowerPoint karaoke and finish the speech. But we'll make it work. All right, so second part, let's go back to the solution. So you want to understand which is the best solution for the problem at hand, right? And for this, you might just create several ones, and then you start investigations. You might speak to customers, you might showcase it to customers, or if you can, you do some prototyping and then test it. Or maybe you even already have data in your company which might signal you which solution is the best one. And then, speaking of data, as the last point, you want to be sure that you know how you can actually understand whether what you're building is successful. Because remember, you want to do something that is worth building for the customer, and you always want to have a customer in mind. And if you're going to get a good track record of high impact launches that you have done, then you will grow your career. But in order to do that, you need to have the right measures in place. So there are 2 things you need to do. The first one is you need to understand your primary metrics. Which metrics do you want to measure? And then second question, how do you want to move these metrics? You always want to make sure that you have some target number in mind. You might, in your first 2-3 attempts, be 100% off, but being off is better than not having a number, because over time you will learn, and your business cases or your estimations for impact will get better over time. But for that, you need to start practicing. So if you do these 3 steps, align this, with yourself, with the product organization, and also the product development team in general, then I think you are pretty well prepared for a successful product career. But of course, that's not everything, right? So there are more things that you need to focus on, especially because the responsibilities of a product manager change over time. I guess I have simplified it a bit on the slide. But if you look at someone who is a junior product manager, they will focus mostly on the roadmap at hand, right? Maybe a 3-month horizon. What do we do in the next quarter? What are the features that we will have on our roadmap? The key area of this person will be the product development team, and the focus will be the pure product KPIs for your specific features, which is fine, right? You don't want to overwhelm someone who is rather new to product management with too many responsibilities. However, though, Over time, now we take the other extreme and talk about, the CPO of a company who will, of course, look at the 3 to 5 year horizon, who will do annual planning, annual strategies, who will have lots of responsibility for people management, who will also need to manage lots of stakeholders in the company and make sure that we also hit the business case. And in this case here, we will talk about an immediate 24-month, but then of course plus horizon for the execution part, and then higher level strategy that might just as well be 3, 5, or even 7 years out if you work at Amazon, for example. So this is how it shifts, and everything in between from junior to CPO is also in between these boundaries. And over time, once you progress in your career, with the knowledge that you gain over time, you will also adjust and you will learn and you will grow your skills over time. So it requires some curiosity and open-mindedness to keep learning. You cannot have all of this knowledge when you start. It just comes over time, and you need to make sure that with every career step that you want to go, you know what it takes to fulfill in this new role, and then prepare yourself. Read books, find mentors, speak to peers in the company so that you're sure that you can prepare yourself for the new challenge that will come with the next step in your career. All right, Bastian. MC. So how can the Mentoring Club help you? Sorry, let's get back to the Mentoring Club here on this slide. The good news is, with the more than 1,000 mentors we have so far, you will find mentors for every stage of your career. We have PMs and senior PMs on our platform just as much as we have CPOs. So it doesn't matter where you are in your career, you will always find this one person who is just one step ahead and might help you to also achieve this next step. So if you go to our website and you are, let's say, a product manager, you will find more than 140 or 200 or so mentors in product management. But then also, if you realize, oh, I would actually like to start, people management, or I'm already doing people management and I want to progress in this, or I have a specific challenge, then you will also find mentors for leadership. And finally, as strategy becomes more and more important over time, you will also find strategy mentors on our website. So I would like to invite you to just ask yourself, okay, what is the next step that I want to take? And in my company, what do these people do? And then try find a mentor that you speak to once, or that you can maybe also have for a longer period of time, who can help you grow into this new role and help you build, the one or the other muscle that you don't yet have. And with this, I think I'm closing the second part. We made it through. Thank you so much for having us. And now I'm very happy that actually we have lots of time left for questions.
All right, thanks a lot, Jessica and Bastian. It was really insightful session. And yes, we have a lot of time for questions, so we'll be taking them in a minute, but I would like to share my screen. So if you can maybe answer yours for a second, thanks. All right, so in the meanwhile, when everyone is invited to draft your questions, you can either, those who are here on Zoom, you can post it in the chat, or later on, you can also just raise your hand and speak up. And those who are on the other platforms, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, you can just post your questions in the comments. We will be taking those questions as well, so no worries. So I will give you some more time to draft your questions. And in the meanwhile, let me just use the time to talk a little bit more about product people for those who would be interested more of what we do and where we are the most successful at. So we usually work in these 5 scenarios. It's either if your company got funding and you need to grow your product team by 1 or 5 PMs, or one of your PM went on a parental leave and then you need somebody to cover it up for 3 or 12 months. Another use case can be if one of your PMs just left very abruptly and then your hiring takes more than 2 or to 9 months, then we are very good at this scenario because we can jump very quickly and onboard ourselves fast, as I mentioned before. We are good also as tackling temporary initiatives. If you don't want to hire full-time employees, we can just jump in quickly and sort it out. And also we do appraisals for the product team and processes. So far, we have worked with many different companies, to just name a few. Those are Zalando, Vshare, Omio, Scout, Freeletics. Here are some of the appraisals from our feedbacks from our clients. They usually appreciate our fast onboarding experience, as you can see, and for sharing knowledge again generously, as is also this session. As we mentioned before, even though that we work for a couple of months in the clients, we try to establish really good contacts and share our knowledge over there. And to talk a little bit about the team, as you can see, we are a very diverse team from different backgrounds. As myself, we are spread across the whole Europe. Our legal entity is based out of Berlin. We are GmbH, but we are fully remotely across the whole Europe. And if you're interested in joining us, we are currently hiring for all different levels of product managers, from associates through product managers to seniors. And we are also looking for senior business development managers to join us and help us to grow our client base. So if you're interested in joining us, please visit productpeople.join.com to learn more about the details. And that's all what I wanted to share about product people. And now back to the Q&A section. So I will be taking first, I think there was somebody raising a hand. So maybe you can speak first, Dan. You can unmute yourself and just ask the question directly.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hi guys, thank you for the mentoring club. It's a great product. I really like it. I think it's great because it's connecting a lot of people around the world across the borders, and it provides great opportunities. And also it influenced me, and I have started my own mentoring career. So thank you very much, guys, for this product. And I have 3 questions based on your presentation. At first, it sounds like a success story, but I want to know about your problems. What problems did you go through launching this mentoring club? And maybe a connected question, what would you do better at the next time launching the product?
So who answers? We always, I can start. It's a very difficult question because, as we said, right, problems are like always almost a kind of goal that we need to solve next, right? So it's like maybe it's more like challenge. Like, for example, when we grew a lot in this first year, we figured out that actually there's something that we need to take care of, which is data privacy and so on, right? So how do we actually deal with that when we have a company which is not even a company, but just like something that runs on our personal, let's say, accounts, and we are both personally liable for this. So here is where we had this challenge to figure out what's the best way to actually cover this, and at the same time build a platform for the platform itself that can bring it into the future, and at the same time carry the value that we want to create. And we had a lot of talks with people who actually donated their time to us. So there were, for example, Mazars, who did great job in providing consulting services to us for finding out, okay, what is the best way in terms of tax, in terms of legal, in terms of building this company. And after that challenge, let's say, or after that time, we figured out that building a nonprofit company is the right right format for us. In terms of tech, there were of course a couple of problems that I can mention. Like for example, once I deleted the whole database because we always went cheap, right? So we never invested a lot into infrastructure, only what we needed next. And at that time, we already had like I think 600 or 500 mentors, and I deleted the database, and we didn't have a backup. And just by accident, I found something which was like 2 days old, and I could bring it back. And then we paid more to actually have a proper database set up. So these kind of challenges were there always. Today, it's a different thing, which is time, right? So of course it runs still as a side project, and it's nice and also looks great from the outside. It is fun, but at the same time becomes more and more complex, right? There are things like accounting, and you have to take care of the community, and you have to take care of data quality. You have to also see if mentors are doing the right things, or if they kind of trick the system by doing advertising and so on, right? So it's a lot of work, and we figure out that actually everything that we do, as I said before, can be teams in a company. And of course, there's not enough time, and you only can do as limited amount of things here. And there is a challenge that things can become mediocre. Just because you don't do it to the end, or you just do a bit of it, or you forget about emails, you don't follow up with emails from partners and so on. And that's definitely one of the challenges that we need to figure out now, right? With sponsor money, with donations, how can we actually hire, for example, interns or other people? How can we build a team of volunteers, or the team of volunteers even bigger, to keep that purpose of being a nonprofit, but at the same time also grow the company, being a global platform for mentoring. And I would say this is the biggest challenge. Just probably you have some other things to add.
Yeah, I think the second, apart from, the development side of things, the other challenge for us was growth without budget, because we are a nonprofit, and we also, didn't spend our private savings on the mentoring club. So we were always asking ourselves, okay, how can we actually grow and communicate the great product that we have that doesn't cost anything, which just focuses on helping people grow and educate themselves and learn from experiences from others to the world. So the question of what type of channels can we actually use and afford was extremely important for us, because at some point, we had all of these mentors, we developed and programmed the website, but then we had all of this inventory, and we wanted to make sure that all of the, I call it inventory. What we mean is, available mentoring sessions by all of our fantastic mentors. And we want to make sure that also all of these sessions are booked, not because we benefit from this in some way, but we want to make sure that all of these people around the world who would like to use the mentoring club actually know that it exists. So this is why we were relying very heavily on our mentors, as well as all the mentees who use the mentoring club, to talk about it. And we have always been very transparent with our mentor community that we need their support, because we knew these people are mentally aligned with our mission of helping others grow. So we knew we could also ask them to support the mentoring club, by doing communications in their own networks, or spread the word in their companies or whatsoever, which allowed us to grow to some extent. Then also, of course, the mentees started talking, and some mentees were posting that they had a cool experience with the mentoring club in their social networks. But all of this wasn't enough, right? It's not the snowball hit, but there weren't enough snowballs. And then at some point we said, okay, what else can we do? And then Bastian and I started to engage with journalists, which gave us a big push, because we wanted to make bloggers and people from certain digital newspapers aware of our initiative. And then we realized, oh, cool, they actually have interest. They want to talk to us. And then we started giving interviews, especially in Germany, but then also we did some in England, for example. We did one in the US. And this was then how we realized, okay, suddenly there are lots of visitors from the US. Oh, cool, there are now lots of visitors coming from the UK. And, then we experienced basically one other channel that we could use in order to grow. Then with officially founding the Mentoring Club as a nonprofit organization, we actually learned that all of these big GAFA companies give free budget to nonprofit organizations. So we were actually trying and making use of that budget that we suddenly received from Google, for example. And we started advertising the marketing at the Mentoring Club. And so on and so forth, right? So as we said on the slide earlier, it's all about just living the dream and making sure we do the right next step and we learn on the way. Just always being open-minded and look out for people who can help you, not being surprised of their willingness to do so, because this is, intrinsically, it's in all of us, right? We all want to do good things. It's just not everyone always has the idea or the opportunity of how to do it. But if you actually ask someone, hey, can you help me with this? I think only very rarely someone will say no. You just need to be brave enough to actually ask for help. And this is one of the things that we have learned, which also, keep us going, because it's a fantastic experience.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Joseph. That was very elaborate answer. So I hope then got the answer to his questions. So I will just move on with some other questions from our Zoom chat. For example, which is maybe slightly related to becoming a product manager. Anupama is asking because she has software test engineering background and she would like to jump into product management. I have a certification. From a company. I think she's asking whether she needs a certificate from a company to become a product manager. And then there is one more question that is maybe related. That they will need some. Jayas is asking that she's working as a BA and she needs some guidance regarding leadership or people management. So maybe you can ask these two questions together, that how Jaya and Anupama can proceed.
Yeah, so I can start with this, Bastian, if you don't mind, because actually in several of the mentoring sessions that I do personally in the Mentoring Club, this question always comes back, like, how can I enter the product management job if I'm not originally a product manager? I am from engineering, I am from project management, I'm a designer, and I would like to do product. This is a very typical question, and rightly so, because you can study all of the things I just mentioned, but you can study product management. That's only very rarely at some private universities that offer courses for product management, but everyone else just did something else before. I, for example, studied international business, so that's also not really product management. But then somehow you make your way to this job. But it takes, I would say it takes mostly dedication and determination to make it work and be open to learning lots of new things. For some, it might also mean that they give up their existing title. So you might be a senior engineer, but you cannot expect to immediately be a senior product manager. So you would step back, learn your craft, and then move up the ladder again. If we talk about career growth once more. So I think in general, the door is always open. Once you can prove that you have some experience, it gets, of course, easier. So I think the elephant in the room is the question, okay, but how do I get this very first job? And that is difficult. I want to be open here. It's not easy to apply for a job in a company with whatever background and then applying for a product role, especially if you go to bigger companies. But where you can learn this is in startups or in scale-ups, because these are rather more open to also hire people from other functions, because in startups you sometimes do a bit of everything anyways, and this might give you the opportunity to even apply as an engineer but then do product work, or to say, hey, I have a strong engineering background, I know how this works, but I'm also creative, I'm also customer centric, and I understand numbers, and now I want to do the product role in your company, but still I can understand the engineering organization. So this is my USP versus other applicants that you might have. So I think the more natural way for people who want to do a product for the first time but have a different background is probably smaller companies first, And then once they have built at least a small track record, to evolve. Bastian, did I summarize this well? Is there anything you would add?
Perfect. I would add one thing, because I'm coming from the engineering side, right? And also today I'm as a director also being responsible for product and engineering. And I would absolutely check what Jess said. It's hard to do that in big companies, because here jobs are really like very one-dimensional, let's say, for a reason, right? But if you go to a small startup, absolutely what Jess said, you have to do a lot of everything. So even if you are working in a big company today and you want to change your job, probably it's a good option to look for a small company, maybe 30, 40, maybe 100 people, and then you have at least exposure to all these different tasks. Another one that I would add is to be transparent about what you want, and also look for a team and maybe for partner in your team on the product side. Right. So, for example, for me, I had the luck. I was working with Jess. She was a product director. I was engineering director. I had other product managers working with me, and we were always working as partners, right? That we shared like 70–80% of our responsibilities. We were very open about actually doing stuff together, not saying, okay, this is your responsibility and this is mine, but actually really doing it as a team. And this helps a lot, because you learn from each other. You think in the same terms and so on, right? And with that, and if you find product manager who's actually partnering with you in that regards, this is very beneficial. So, for example, if you are a QA person reporting into tech, try to find a team, a company where there are great product managers. Tell them that you want to move, and then let them work with you, right? So that you not only write boring, regression tasks or do some test automation, but actually go with them into understanding the product. What is acceptance criteria? How does design work, etc. And then I think you get into that by taking some of that responsibility as well.
Awesome. Thanks a lot for the answers. I think that's what we also at Product People align with. Whatever you have said, I totally agree. And I think our team is also a testimony to that. So Mansoor, are we having some more questions from YouTube or LinkedIn? I would like to give a chance to those.
Yes,
to be answered.
Absolutely. And we have quite a few, actually. We were happy that we had a lot of time, but I'm hoping now that we will have time to cover them all. So I'm going to go with a quick one to begin from Jaya on YouTube. So she's asking, how can I register myself to be a mentee? So I think this should be like an easy process, but maybe if there's a link or a quick answer for that to help her out, and we'll move on to the next one.
Can very quickly answer. Hi.
Hello. Yes, hi. My name is John.
Yes,
hi. I was the one who mentioned that. Am I audible?
We can't really hear you, Jaya. I don't know if it's only me, but your sound is a bit muffled.
Okay, give me 1 minute, please.
Okay, meanwhile, let's pass on to another quick question. So an interesting one also from YouTube. And this one is from Ulf. He's asking, what are typical motivations for mentors to sign up with you?
So the very two-word answer would be intrinsic motivation. These people just want to do good, and they share our vision of making knowledge available to everyone and giving everyone access to knowledge and expertise from others in order for themselves to learn and grow. So this is what unites all of our mentors and is the intrinsic motivation of everyone. This is what unites us. And this is, I think, also the main benefit that we all receive when we give mentoring sessions, which is the fulfillment that we have actually helped someone on their growth path through maybe just a 40-minute mentoring session or an ongoing mentoring relationship. It doesn't matter, but it's about creating value through every session that our mentors provide and finding fulfillment in doing so.
Maybe adding to that. So we have some mentors who did more than 50 sessions last year, right? So now the question is, how do we actually retain these? Because in the end, in the beginning, yes, we give. It's the same like donating money. You donate 10 euros, and then probably never again to the same company, right? And here they spend some time, they feel, okay, they can give, but then something different happens is that they also learn that they, a lot of them actually told us, wow, this was the best experience that I had so far in my career. Like these kind of feedback is what we receive, because what they have is great relationships with other people. They get to know people from other industries, from other cultural backgrounds and so on, and they learn themselves how to actually lead these kind of conversations and get input all the time, right? So I'll give you one example that I had in the very beginning of it, when I was mentoring a startup founder from Africa who was about to build a bus company in Nigeria, right? And of course, I could give him a lot of input, but at the same time, I was learning about the startup scene there and what kind of challenges they have. And this was, I would say, I probably got even more value out of it than the mentee. And this is really something that you cannot buy with money, right? That you cannot buy with going to like Coursera also, because it's this real life experience that you get with every single hour that you spend on the platform.
Right, thank you. That was a good one. So Jaya, maybe you wanna try again now?
Yeah, or maybe we can just answer
Yes,
the
okay.
question if somebody else was interested how to register.
Yeah, so otherwise, yeah, let's move on to the next one. And again, from YouTube.
Is it fine now?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Yes. Hi, I'm so sorry for this. My Bluetooth was not connecting. I'm really sorry about it. So yeah, thank you for this. I just wanted to ask that I feel that everything is okay, but I need some guidance regarding like the people skills and some leadership skills. I feel like I feel that I feel I get intimidated a lot if I'm talking to like people who are like of my senior position or something, or I don't know how to handle some of these kind of conversations. So these kind of things I needed some guidance with. Hello?
I would recommend you just go to the mentoring club, look at all the mentors that we have in this category, and then you can just book a session. That should be very simple. And by the way, also answers the other question that we had. So booking a mentoring session is very simple. You just go to the website and do it. We don't require any data from you, no registration from the mentees, because we want to make it as easy and hassle-free as possible. So just go there, and I'm very sure there will be someone who can help you in a session.
Great, thank you so much.
Great, thank you. So moving on to another one, and this is from Jenkins Public Health Consulting. So the person behind this account says, I run a public health mentor program. Do you recommend a capacity per mentor, such as a ratio of mentee to mentor? So do you already have maybe some experience on that? Do you have any thoughts on it?
So there's a lot of different ways, right? So we have people who just give 1 hour per week and do it once per mentee, and then the mentee probably is fine with that, or they get a recommendation for other people to talk to. We have others that spend many hours with their mentees. They build in a relationship, having many sessions over a longer period of time, but we don't recommend this. We think it's open, right, for them, because it's also a donation. We say if you want to donate 1 hour per month or 10 per week, really up to you. And if you want to build, let's say, lasting relationship with your mentees, it's also up to them. It also depends on if they kind of align with each other, right? If there are two minds coming together and they actually find this trustful partnership somehow. So there's no recommendation from us, and all different models are possible, and also is what we see with the mentors.
All right, thank you. So maybe we take another one from here, from Zoom. We still have like about 4 questions in total, I guess. So if you don't mind, we might stretch it for an extra few minutes.
Yeah, there was another, if you don't mind, Bastian and Jess, so we can just Okay, I have a green light for you. So there was another question from Pallavi, quite interesting. She's thanking you for this novel work, and she's interested, how do you measure the impact of this product on mentees? So do you measure success of mentees or NPS, or growing number of mentees is the indicator of success?
Yeah, so I think we have several measures in place here. On the one hand, as presented earlier, we ask if the mentees would recommend the mentoring club to their friends, which is the NPS question. So this we do as, you know, a first signal, but then we also ask our mentees to write ratings and reviews for the mentors in order to, you know, get a more qualitative answer to their experience. And also here we are pretty proud. We didn't present this earlier, but I think we have an average score of 4.8 or so out of 5 stars for all of the mentor experiences. So it happens only very, very rarely that there is a disappointing session between a mentor and a mentee. And most of the times the mentees are able to, you know, get value out of the sessions that they have had with their mentors, which is yet another way for us to measure the overall success of the platform. So this is more on the quantitative side. And then on the qualitative side, there are, you know, these moments when you just get a LinkedIn message from some mentee saying, hey, thank you so much. I just used the mentoring club and it really helped. Or people come back to us, you know, even a few months later saying, you know, I used your advice and this and that happened, where, you know, it's more of the one-on-one feedback that you get later. But I think good news just spread and they find their ways back to our mentor community or even to the mentoring club in general through the various sources.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Jess, for the answer. Then there is a question from Livio, but Mansur, maybe if you have some other questions as well, we can take it from other points.
Yes, I have one. So from Talk with Tom, that's the name of the user. He's asking, do you ever face challenges in communicating cross-functionally as a PM, communicating in your non-native language? And if so, how do you overcome these communication challenges? And I think it would also be interesting to look at this from a mentor-mentee perspective also, if I may add this to the question.
Yeah, so this is a good one. Let me ask from the product and career growth perspective, because I always think, I mean, I work in English as well, and I always remind myself that for me, as well as for, you know, maybe 80% of all of my colleagues, it's not their native tongue, right? It's mental effort to work in another language. So not only do our brains process all of the topics that we have. Do you hear him again? We don't only process the stuff that we do at work, but at the same time, we also need to process the language, right? We need to translate all of what we are doing. So we shouldn't be biased. We should be open, give people the freedom to express themselves, you know, just give them a second. Maybe sometimes they just need to look up a word that's important for their line of argumentation. So we should always be mindful of not everyone is as fluent in English as others. And for most of the people in the company, it's not their native language. So yeah, this would be my product answer. And maybe Bastian, you can take the mentoring club mentor answer for this, if it differs.
I think this is not a difference. I mean, of course, we added the language feature at some point because we saw that people want to talk in their native language. But at the same time, we see, because we started in Germany, right? We have a lot of mentors from Germany, and the platform is in English, so all of them mostly give their mentoring sessions in English. And I think then it's the same as you say, right? It's also a matter of seniority to actually, yeah, probably similar to what I said about our product, right? You just try and you just do it, and you don't let yourself being blocked from not finding the right word or doing things wrongly, right? That's what you do in the very beginning. You're kind of trying to be perfectionist, but that's not what helps here. I would even say it in a pathetic terms, like it's not about the words, it's actually about the heart that speaks, especially when it's about growth focused sessions that you have with each other.
Thank you. There's There's one last question maybe to take from YouTube before we start wrapping things up. So Jacob is asking, the library was added some time ago. Will there be more new features on the website?
I can answer this. Let's see. Let's see. Right. So we added this library. We will add reviews for books as well. And we are working on getting, we have also this video feature for each of the books that we have, because we think that it's a good way to read a book, right? By just watching a TED talk before, or some other material that is freely available on the web. So we match these. And from there, we'll see, right? So we are working quite hard on improving the scheduling and video features, but as said before, right, it's all about time, budget, and everything else that we need to actually grow this platform. But yeah, absolutely, we see that there's a bunch of features that I'm missing, let's say, or that our mentors and mentees like to see, but they will come slowly but surely.
All right, thank you. I think for the sake of time, we might as well wrap it up. I think there are just two more questions that we did not answer. Mirella's question here is interesting, but I'm sure we can get in touch for that later on. And there was a question by, I lost it, by Livio. So have you ever decided to create a for-profit, and what would the challenges have been? I think that's a matter of doing a whole different product and looking at it completely differently. So maybe we could take the conversation to somewhere else. Livio, feel free to reach out again through the Telegram or elsewhere, and we'll be happy to connect you with both Bastian and Jess. So with that, I'll leave it up to you, Adila, to please wrap it up.
Yeah, not much to add. I will just like to thank both our speakers, Jessica Devela and Bastian Buch, were today with us to talk about the mentoring club. It was really, really nice to have you there. So thanks a lot for coming to Product People event. And everyone who will join us tonight, thank you for taking the time. I hope you had a good time. And if it was insightful, please join us also next week. You can join us at Meetup to get notifications about our next events. And also you can chat with us at Telegram. You will find the links in the chat. Mansoor will be posting. So thanks a lot, and that's a wrap.